nothing like Street Fighter.
Kano.
Kang.
Rated Johnny Cage.
Scorpion.
Sub-Zero.
Sonya.
Round one. Fight.
You had to guess like the moves and how to figure out the codes.
Remember having a cheat sheet. Hit block and mash the buttons, I don't know. Block, 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 high kick. Fatality. Kano ripped out a heart. Held it up, blood dripping from it. It's the first time I've seen blood in a video game. Blood flying out of these people's heads.
My parents were very worried about the violence.
I don't want you guys playing this. It sounds bad. Finish him.
The game narrator instructs the player to finish his opponent.
Oh my god, I didn't know that you could do that.
It was a mega hit, game after game after game.
It's amazing. I could have never imagined how big it has all become.
It was, is, and always will be a fighting game for everyone.
It's funny to think that it all started from like 4 guys in Chicago that just wanted to make a cool martial arts game.
My parents were both born in Dominican Republic, and they had they were both doctors. I'm one of 5 kids. My older brother and older sister were born in Dominican Republic, and I was the first one born in Chicago, in Rogers Park, Chicago. And my brother and sister followed, Mike Boone, who I've been working with for 20-something years now.
So we spent a lot of time playing computer games. We had the old consoles. We had a Bally Astrocade.
The Bally Astrocade was a video game system that had a cartridge that was basic programming.
And you have the little plastic overlay you put over the keyboard, and you could type in basic programs, and we would write little games.
And that was my first exposure to what a computer program is, the idea of creating something digitally by yourself, moving a pixel on the screen and whatnot. It just kind of taps into your brain of, oh, I have control over this, and that's probably where I really got hooked on the idea of being able to control things on a TV. All of my friends already had jobs waiting for them, getting out of school, and I didn't. I made one resume my entire life. I had one resume, and at the very bottom I had a little asterisk that said, strong interest in video games. I got a call from a headhunter saying, are you interested in working at Williams Electronics? And at the time I knew exactly what Williams Electronics was. They were Defender, Stargate, Robotron, Joust, Sinistar, Moon Patrol. There was 100 games that I was aware of that they worked on. I knew the people.
Those were exciting days of meeting your idols. There's Eugene Jarvis, there's Sal DeVita, Mark Turmel, Warren Davis. You're working alongside people that created the games that you grew up with.
I went there thinking that I was interviewing for a programmer's job, a video game programmer's job. And they were like, no, this is for pinball. Are you still interested? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And there was a part of my brain behind me that was like, eventually I'd like to get into video games, but it sounds like a fun job nonetheless. My first pinball machine was a game called Millionaire. That was kind of like how I got my foot in the door. I was just learning how to, turn on lamps and flash bulbs and do special effects and whatnot. Eugene Jarvis was working down the hall from me on a game called F-14 Tomcat. He was working on a pinball machine, and Eugene asked me if I could do, special effects for that game. It had some really cool light effects, and so everybody started asking me to do special effects for their games. I became the special effects guy.
I met Ed Boon the day he arrived at Williams. He was a really nice guy, young and naive, and smart as hell. And we had a great time working on Black Knight with Larry Tomorrow.
Eugene had gone full-time into working on NARC. And again, this wasn't just a video game, this was a whole operating system and hardware. He eventually gave me a hardware system in my office while I was programming pinballs, and then on the side I would just be like making packets of dollar signs exploding that they were using in NARC when you would draw money and whatnot. And so I was just messing around with that and was really getting excited about the notion of working on video games. And at some point there was an understanding that when I was done with Black Knight, I would join the video game department to work on high impact football with Eugene in about 1990, I would guess.
I was born and raised in Chicago. I grew up on the city's near west side, which was, I was maybe a mile and a half away from the United Center. It was a fairly rough neighborhood, but from my earliest days, I started, drawing, probably started with a crayon.
My job on MK1 was basically to do backgrounds. Like John would do characters and I would do the backgrounds. Things were very simple back then, like. He would choose which frames he wanted to use and then cut the background away from the characters, and that was his job,
Literally after we shot the footage, I think maybe that night or the next day, I started stripping frames right away. We did a lot of playing around with lighting. We were just sort of discovering. I think we probably taped more than we needed just to make sure that we got enough coverage.
I remember after the Sonia's leg grab, having to say something along the lines of, trust us, it's going to be really cool. The image was clear in my head. Sometimes we forget that it's not inside everybody's head.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, now this from the very middle. All you have to do is just line it up there.
Can you do that, or is that? She should do it from the stands.
Right.
We were trying to get a film-like quality, but we wanted to just amp it up a little bit. And once we realized that pumping up colors really attracted people to our games, that was also our treatment.
A lot of the character design that I did for Mortal Kombat was based on the limitations of the hardware. So I knew that we had a limited color palette that we could work with. I knew that the pixel resolution kind of restricted what we were capable of doing. So bold colors, simple shapes would distinguish one character from another would be important. And I knew that a color palette that would distinguish one character from another was also important. And I was careful not to repeat those things.
The thing about the ninjas was, the nature of them. As you know, there were palette swaps of each other. It was all to save memory. It was a very precious thing in our arcade games. And so, Scorpion and Sub-Zero, they were the same character with different colors. John wrote this amazing backstory behind them, making them enemies, and that added to the mystique of the characters.
One of the pages of my notebook, I had scribbled, okay, here are the characters and here are their archetypes. I knew that, we need a hero, we need a villain, and we need a sidekick, we need all these things. I was a big Joseph Campbell fan. I had read his books and I was aware of the hero's journey and the character archetypes that he had sort of outlined. I thought, okay, if we could tell implicit story through character archetypes,
One of the really cool things about Mortal Kombat and about some of the really great games, you have a really great winning concept. Often you know, they got that game running in like a month. A lot of modern games, it seems like they spend all their time in this graphical wilderness, trying to get everything looking so cool, and then they've got like 3 weeks left to figure out what the game is.
We had a very fast iteration. I would get art from John, you know, we put it in, and an hour later, we were playing it.
First time you play it, you just go, this is incredible. You knew you were on the right course.
Ed was like just eager to have people in and give them feedback on stuff.
A lot of times it was just, you know, someone, you have someone in your office to look at something and they go, hey, what about this? And then, you know, maybe that's a good idea.
Ideas could come and be turned into reality in the same day.
Yeah,
So when Street Fighter 2 came out, I wasn't really too impressed by it. I think I finished it once, picked Zangief because I was a wrestling fan, and then kind of moved on. I eventually kind of fell in with a crowd that really got a lot out of Street Fighter 2, and so suddenly it became very apparent I need to get great at that game. One guy showed up and said, hey, have you heard of this other game, Mortal Kombat? I'm like, no, what is Mortal Kombat? He said, well, you know, it's like Street Fighter, but you can fucking kill people. Okay, well, we need to go see this game right now.
I absolutely remember the first time I played Kombat. It was at Lions Family Fun, my favorite arcade.
My dad would usually give my brother and me $5 each and let us run wild while he went shopping. I was at an arcade in Virginia.
The Q Lounge in the Bronx, New York. It was a space that was half smoky pool hall, half arcade.
He took us to an arcade 2 towns north, up to Santa Rosa, to a place called Systems City. And it was like a part skate shop, but in the back room, all the lights were on, and they had like 5 arcade machines back there.
I see this huge crowd gathered around a new cabinet.
And it was sitting there. There was nobody around it.
No one was playing it. It was just sitting there. What is this?
I just remember